everyone. This is Sean Copeland, and welcome to the fourth episode of the Purpose-Driven CEO. I am so excited to be back with you. I want to thank you for the wonderful reception that we are receiving, and I've had several people ask me if we are going to have guests on the podcast, and the answer is yes, we absolutely are. There are some foundational concepts that I want to get through first, just to kind of set the stage for what a purpose-driven business and being a purpose-driven CEO really looks like. And then once that is complete, absolutely, we will begin interviewing purpose-driven CEOs to kind of see what they do, how they live their life, and how we can live our lives with more purpose. I want to apologize this morning if my voice is a little off. We had the last 2 days, our company was in annual planning session, and then last night we had fifth quarter for a whole bunch of seniors for Metro Christian here in Tulsa. So needless to say, I'm really excited about today's content, but my voice may seem a little different, and I apologize for that. This may be the most important episode of this entire podcast, and I want to kind of give you a little background as to what we're going to cover today. So about 6 months ago, I completed my term as Secretary of Commerce for the Governor of Oklahoma. For about 2.5 to 3 years, I was serving in both roles as both CEO of the bank and as Secretary of Commerce. So as I completed that term, I loved it, but I knew that it was time to come back to business full time. And I began to pray about what the Lord had in mind for me next in my life. I began to feel that my purpose in life was the intersection between faith and business, that there's something magical that occurs whenever our faith is intersected with our business, and the two become one. The other thing that happened to me about that time is I have always had the dream to grow Regent Bank, our bank, to $1 billion in assets. Years ago, we set a vision to hit that $1 billion asset number by 2025, and thanks to God's grace and blessing, we were able to hit that number in 2021. And so that was very, very exciting for me. But when we hit it, I felt very deflated, or maybe underwhelmed is a better word. It just wasn't that big of a deal. And I began to realize that there just had to be more to business than just numbers. So about that time, I'm feeling all this, and I get a phone call from a buddy of mine named Rodney James, and Rodney says, "Oh my gosh, Sean, you're not going to believe this. I just came back from a life-changing seminar down in Lubbock, Texas with a company called the Beaten Bow Companies, and basically it was a seminar about kingdom at work, okay? And at this seminar, it changed the way that Rodney thought about business, and he began to share this with me. So we brought this firm to Tulsa on September the 15th, and we asked them to do a day-long conference to talk about what does it mean to run a kingdom business, or to own a kingdom business. We invited in businesses from all over the community. We ended up having about 150 business leaders there, and it was extremely powerful. So what I want to share with you today, and this will probably be a two-part series, but what I'm going to share with you today is the concept of a kingdom business, okay? And this is extremely important because our entire podcast will be built around this concept. A kingdom business is a business or an organization that's subject to and operates under the governance and principles of God, okay? It's a business in which God's nature and characteristics are intrinsically infused into its structure and its daily operation. And I think about this verse as kind of our basis. Matthew 6:33 says, "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." So we are seeking God first in a kingdom business. In a kingdom business, our purpose is not to make money. is not to grow customers. It's not to be the best. It is to glorify God. So Regent Bank is now the bank that was formerly owned by Sean and some other shareholders, and it is now owned by God. And I want you to really think about, what does this mean? It means God is now the boss. And so I have to consult with him just like I would if a new owner came in and purchased our business and I was working for him. It's the same dynamic. Now, there is a word in the Bible called Ovadah, A-V-O-D-A-H. It's a Greek word that is used 3 different times in the Bible in 3 different ways. Okay, in Genesis 2:15, it is used for work. In Exodus 8:1, it is used for worship. And in Joshua 24:15, it is used for service. So you have one word, all 3 meanings. In English, we have separated them, but our belief and the belief of the Beaton Boat companies is that we shouldn't have. That really work, worship, and service should all be the same. We should do them all at the same time. In this way, work will feel different. It will feel like a sanctuary. It will feel like a safe place. It will feel like a place where people are patient, where people are kind. Everyone will feel like part of the family, and I mean everyone. So employees, clients, vendors, suppliers, the community, everyone you come in contact with feels a difference in this company because God is now the boss of this company. Now, please don't misunderstand. The employees in this company are still fully accountable. They still have the same, this isn't a let's not work company. This is a company where everybody still works hard. They just know that you care deeply about them on a personal level. And we're going to get into this more. So let me drill down just a little bit more. So when we think about the kingdom, in a kingdom business, let's think about the fact that in the Bible, Jesus said the word church 2 times, and he said the word kingdom 100 times. Now, a kingdom is a territory of the king, okay? And that means that the king's goals, the king's rules, the king's purposes all rule. That's what we go by. Leaders in a company or in a kingdom honor the king. Now again, when we are hiring, we are still hiring people for cultural and values fit, but the ministry becomes our company and the company becomes our ministry. When you're in a kingdom business, you have to make the move from just a leader to a kingdom leader. Okay, now what does this mean? First of all, it means the marketplace is not my provider. Let me give you a really quick story that the Beaton Boat Company shared with us. Their CFO made a decision that he felt God was calling him to go into business on his own. So let's call him Joe, and Joe comes to Rick, the CEO of this company, and says, "Hey Rick, I am feeling led to go into business." And Rick says, "Well, what kind of business?" And Joe says, "A home building business." And Rick goes, "Oh wow, that's what we do. We're home builders." And then he says, "Well, where are you going to do this at, Joe?" And Joe says, "Lubbock, Texas." And Rick goes, "Oh my goodness, yeah, that's where we operate." So now my CFO, who has all of the keys to the kingdom, knows all the secrets, is now going to operate in my industry in my hometown. Now that would be very concerning to you and I. We would probably call up the lawyers, start the cease and desist order and all that. But what did Rick do? Because he is leading a kingdom business and working for God, he prays to God. And he says, "Okay, God, this doesn't feel very good to me, but what am I supposed to do?" And what does God say? "Rick, Joe has been following me for 30 years. It is time." and you need to support him and give him everything he needs to be successful. So today, you have Joe's home building company and Rick's home building company, both in Lubbock. They honor each other in their competition, and they have both been extremely successful. That is different. That the marketplace is not our provider. God is our provider. A kingdom leader is honest and vulnerable. They are open about what's going on in their life. A kingdom leader constantly asks God to lead them. A kingdom leader listens to ideas and asks God to help them choose the best one. They do not have all the answers, and therefore their employees feel valued and important because they can contribute. So what do we really do in this kingdom business? First of all, we seek God's guidance on everything, as I've already talked about, and I mean everything. This company talked about in their giving how they were called by God to stop donating money in the same way that they had always donated. So that they had always, given to all kinds of different ministries all over the world, all over town, and God said, you're not following my desires. You are doing this because of relationship, and I need you to give based upon what I am directing you to do, and I need you to stop giving. So they called in all of their different donors and said, guys, we are so sorry about this, but we know that the boss has told us that we need to stop giving. So for 1 year, they did not give any money at all, not one penny. And all of these organizations said, if you don't give money, we're not going to survive. And they said, we're sorry, we have to follow what God said. And then after about a year, God began to direct them into some certain very specific types of giving. And frankly, one of the things he instructed them to do is stop giving so much outside and start giving more inside to your employees. So it's a very, very different way of thinking. We practice godly principles. Anything that is not in line with God's will, we do not do. Our leader's purpose becomes our people. This is critically important. The leader, that when we come to work, our entire focus is on the people. Their focus is on the work. Now, the people that we are focused on is everybody we come in contact with. Of course, it's our employees, but it's also our clients, our vendors, and our community. We are trying to get to know them deeper so that we can serve them, we can support them, we can pray for them, etc. And we really practice a type of leadership called kingdom leadership. In kingdom leadership, we go deeper. There is something richer there. We care about our employee, not just their work. They're not just a means to an end for us. Our people become our mission, as I mentioned, and the work is theirs. We know them. We grow them. We use correction and accountability just like we would in any other management role, but we have a heart for our people. Literally, we are asking God to break our hearts or to give me a heart for the people that I lead. And what this leads to is fewer direct reports and more time with those individuals going deeper. So as we close today, I believe that God has shown me that there is more for us. I think that we can have a greater impact if we become a purpose-driven CEO. And for me, that means a kingdom leader leading a kingdom business, where my purpose is to create a kingdom business that glorifies God. So I ask you today to think a little bit about, what is your purpose? What is your true reason for being here? Because I can tell you that if it is simply to make more money or to reach some financial goal, you're going to get there and it is going to feel very, very empty. So my prayer is that all of us will start leading with purpose today. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Purpose Driven CEO and